Hello people, and welcome to Crypto Exposed. Okay guys, got a post here of an interview from the HBAR bull, and it's with Bank Social, who I've discussed with you guys a few times now, and we've also got a guy from Connects FSU, which is just another federal credit union, and this is a real great interview, and I wanted to share this with you guys, not only just to give you an update in regards to how these credit unions are operating and how they're changing basically the financial landscape, but there's something that was really important in this interview that I wanted to share with you guys. Now, it's really the last thing that I'm going to share with you because it was the last real important note of the interview, but it really does say a lot and explain just how things are going in the US in regards to the crypto industry. So stick with me guys, because you're going to want to hear this towards the end. But this is just great nonetheless. It's a great thing to see. And I just think it just lets you know where things are headed. And there's very, very positive outlook here for Hedera as well. So let's get into this then. So we have James McBride on behalf of the Connects FCU. And we have John Wingate of Bank Social, and they're both being interviewed by the HBAR bull. So the first thing they're talking about is just how they're currently operating, what they've been doing. And, one of the things that they're saying is when they, started, one of the things they wanted to do was they wanted to make sure that they was doing everything by the book, right? So they're saying the reason why they created a DAO is because they wanted to make sure that they was doing things in the most regulated way possible, right? So for me, straight away, that speaks volumes, because if there's one thing that we're looking at right now and what is causing a big problem is regulatory uncertainty, right? Like we look at the SEC, who they're really flip-flopping right now, but it's due to political reasons, to be honest with you. It's nothing more than that. At the end of the day, the SEC were trying to stifle innovation in crypto as much as possible. I think what's happened now is the Democrats are realizing that this is actually a really big problem for them, because this is something that could actually hinder them winning the election. And so they flip-flopped, right? They're now turning around and trying to be pro-crypto, and they've done that in the sense of approving the Ethereum ETFs. And so while things are looking like they're on the change right now, I said this before, I don't know if this is just a play to get the votes that they want, and if they were to get re-elected, they would then just change back. I don't know. So to me, I just think it's good that they've tried to do things in the most regulated way possible, because it protects them, right? It would help them from potentially getting a lawsuit from the SEC, right? Because they can prove, well, look, we've done things as much as we could to be in the most regulatory compliant environment that we possibly can be in. So it would be hard for them to try and put a lawsuit against these companies. And if they did, it's very likely they would lose, right? Because we've seen that with Ripple. They beat the SEC in the matters where it counts. So to me, that was great to hear, because again, it's going to play a big part in regards to, how they're going to get on as a company in the future. It's going to play a big part if they've been doing things in a compliant way or not, because that could obviously be a huge hindrance to them. So that was already a great start of things to hear. The next thing they just got on to was just talking about how credit unions in the past, they've always been at the forefront of new technology, and how as of the more recent years, it seems like that had really slowed down for them. And they feel like this whole new technology coming in, like DLT, crypto, for example, they feel like this is the opportunity for them to get back in the lead, which, yeah, I agree. If you adopt crypto technology now, DLT, I think it's going to be something that will definitely give you a huge competitive edge in the long run, because I've said this numerous times, crypto isn't going anywhere. They can try and stifle this as much as they want, but long term, it's not going to go away, because there's way too many advantages. This is the kind of stuff, this technology, that is going to just change industries completely. And when we talk about financial, hugely, right, definitely going to change the financial landscape. So, this technology is not going to be just gotten rid of. It's not going to be a thing where they'll cripple it to the point where it's not going to be utilized at all. No, it's just going to take time for it to be mass adopted. That's all. That's all this is. So at the end of the day, if they can get into this now, it's going to benefit them for the long term, because once crypto is starting to be recognized for the great opportunity that it really is and the great technology that it really is. These companies that are already adopting it, they've already got a head start, right? Like the other companies and banks and stuff, they're playing catch up, right? They're like, oh, okay, we need to start, integrating our DLT technology and stuff like that. And it's like, well, guys, we're already here. Like we've already got blockchain technology. So come with us. You don't need to worry about like figuring it out. We've been doing this for years. So it's going to give them a competitive advantage, right? So I can already see the benefit of them doing that. And I do think that's a very good thought process for them to have. Another thing that was just mentioned by the HBAR board was that Hedera was actually piloted by credit unions long before like Bank Social existed. And this is something that the HBAR board mentioned to John Wingate and said, you're aware of this, right? Who's the CEO of Bank Social, and John Wingate was like, yeah, I'm aware of it. And so that just made me think, like, is this something that when Bank Social was looking at Hedera, this was kind of like an obvious choice for them? Because if there was actually credit unions who was, testing Hedera way before their existence, and I was like, well, this is what we want to do. Like, what networks have actually already had previous federal credit unions who are doing exactly what we're doing, who've actually tested any networks? Like, is there any? And then they can be like, oh yeah, we've had, this network has been tested by some federal credit unions before in the past. And it's like, oh, okay. So were they happy with the progress? Oh yeah, like they was very happy with the service and whatnot. Okay, cool. So I guess we'll develop with them then. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it just makes me wonder where like this was the obvious choice because they've already had previous tests with a similar business model, which, I think that's just smart business sense. Like, if you can see something that's similar to your business and they've tried and tested something and that were happy with the results, well, then you would go with that, right? It just makes logical sense. Then the HBAR board just mentioned to these guys, like, why is this like important for Hedera then? So, we can see why it's good for the companies, but why is it good for Hedera? And I really like the answer here. So they basically said, look, Web3 is all about ownership, right? It's all about ownership and the people, because Web3 is basically starting to remove like the middleman for things. And it's basically like giving power back to the people, which I completely agree with. Like, if you think about what we're talking about with crypto technology, like I'll give you one of the most basic examples that I can give you. Cross-border payments, right? Normally, if you wanted to make like a cross-border payment, you go into the bank, you're having to pay like a huge fine. It might take a few days for it to go through. Well, in this day and age, you can set up a crypto wallet. The other person can set up a crypto wallet. You send them a transfer, let's just say by XRP, even HBAR, because HBAR can be done as well. But let's just say by XRP because it's really its speciality. That payment, you haven't got to go to a bank for them to do this. You just send the payment yourself. It goes to them within seconds and it's dirt cheap. Like, you're taking away the need for a bank completely. Do you see what I'm saying? So this is where we're talking about giving power back to the people. Like, you're cutting out the middleman for a lot of things with this technology, right? Hedera, they're looking at these developers who are looking to do like holiday package deals, and it's a thing where like they could be like the eBay of packaged holiday deals. Like, I could actually set up my own package holiday deals for people to sell to them, right? Well, that takes away the need for needing to go to these, these big companies who sell the packaged holidays, right? It could be like, oh, okay, well, I can make way more competitive price rates for these holidays than what these guys are paying, because these guys are charging like premiums because they're such big companies. I can do it all for way cheaper than them. So then it's like taking away the need for these big companies. It's like, okay, you can go directly through these, people, again, people, giving power to the people, and do it through these guys who are a lot more reasonably priced, and taking away the leverage of these big companies, of the power that they can have in terms of how much they charge, in terms of, the premiums that they're putting on their prices. So these are the things that this technology can bring, right? And that is very important. Like, that is really important. And one of the things that they're talking about, what they think the main feature Web3 will impact, is finance. And I completely agree about that. Like, one of the main things I see when I look at a lot of use cases, it's very much finance related. And that's huge, because finance is a big deal, right? Like, it's a very big deal. So, one of the things that you also mentioned about this is that credit unions are non-profit. So again, giving power back to the people. Like, this isn't a thing where these companies are trying to do things where they're just trying to benefit off of you. Like, they're doing things as a not-for-profit, right? Like, so again, this is all, look, these are just services that can help you. You don't need to go to these big banks. Like, we can offer you these services as a credit union, right? And we're not doing this for profit. We're just, we're just doing this for the benefit of the people. So we're not going to be here trying to like make big money out of you guys through fees and stuff like that. Everything is going to be legitimate. Like, whatever fees you're paying is the fees that you need to pay. It's not going to be blown up because they want to put like some kind of premium on there. Like, it's not them trying to make a bit of a cut out of the fee or anything like that. Like, you're paying just the necessary fee to do whatever it is that you need to do, right? So again, makes sense. Really great point there. Okay, and then we start talking about why they chose Hedera, right? Again, like, why was this important for Hedera? And they said, look, one of the main reasons why they chose Hedera is actually due to the governing council. They said they couldn't do it on Bitcoin because they don't know who the validators are. They couldn't do it on like a staking network either, as they don't know who the owners of the staking pools are. And they said Hedera solved this with the governing council because you know who these companies are, right? Like, these companies are running validators on the network. And so when they go to meetings for companies and stuff like that, they can bring up the council members, right? So you can say, look, like, the network that we operate on, we have like Boeing, we have Google, we have IBM. All these guys are supporting this network. Like, all these guys are validators to this network. So of course they're going to look at these huge brands who are like entities within themselves supporting this network and think, okay, like, yeah, that's great. Like, you've got all these big brands working with this network to try and support it and, push it forward. That's great. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of thing that could be a deal sealer for some companies, right? They could look at this and think, okay, they've got these kind of institutions behind them, like working with them as well and supporting them. Yeah, we'll definitely work with this, company. That's definitely something we'll be interested in, knowing that that's the kind of caliber of companies they're being backed by. So, again, I think that was a great point. And I've always said this, some people look at the governing council as a negative thing. I think it's a huge positive. When you're talking from an enterprise perspective, I think it's a huge, massive positive. So, just one of the last things they say in regards to, Hedera, and say, look, when we're talking about instant finality, low predictable fees and scale, there's no other place that this can all be done at an enterprise level other than Hedera. Like, that's what they felt. So again, guys, like, when I'm talking to you about HBAR and Hedera, like, you can see what people are saying. It's a common trend of what we see about this kind of stuff. And so this is why I keep telling you guys, you're looking at the price, but look at what these companies are saying. And look at what these companies are doing. Like, they're revolutionizing the finance industry. And this is the way they're talking about Hedera. So, like, to me, like, the success of Hedera, I believe it's coming because this is the kind of stuff I'm seeing from companies who are developing on Hedera. Like, this is the kind of way that they feel and the kind of things that they're saying. So again, I think it's just great to hear this being reiterated, and it's good because you guys haven't got to just hear it coming from my mouth. You can actually hear it coming from these companies who are actually developers, and it just reinforces, obviously, what I am saying to you guys. Okay, so now we get into like the last part of this, and this is the thing that I wanted you guys to hear because I think this tells a very interesting picture of why we are where we are with the US in terms of crypto regulation and, trying to support the crypto space. So, HBAR Ball says, look, some people didn't believe it would be possible to do some of the things that you guys are doing as, credit unions. And he just asked, like, how have you guys achieved this? And this is the answer that they gave, and I thought this was very telling. They said, look, the NCUA, which is the National Credit Union Association, is the only regulator in the US that has given clear regulatory guidance for using crypto and blockchain technology. They're the only regulator in the US. Now, what's the thing about this regulator that you think is different from all the other regulators who are being very vague, not giving clear regulations, etc., etc.? The one difference is that the National Credit Union Association is not for profit. It's not for profit. These credit unions are not for profit. And so, don't you think it's quite interesting that where you've got something that's not for profit, they've just come in and got the job done. Like, yep, this is crypto technology. This is how we feel about it. We're okay with this as long as you're doing it in this way, this way, this way. Clear framework so they know what they can and can't do. They've done that just snap of a finger, right? But then you've got the SEC, you've got the CFTC, right? You've got these other places that are not giving clear regulation. Why? There's money involved, right? And this is why I said to you before, part of the whole thing with the SEC, I do believe it's to protect the legacy financial system. They're trying to protect these old banks, and it's from these types of companies because, as they said, this is taking out the middleman. This is the kind of stuff that you wouldn't want to go to a bank anymore, right? Like if you can say, okay, you can do a transfer cross-border instantly in seconds and with a minimal fee, who's going to be like, oh, no thanks, I'll just go to the bank, pay a massive premium and it's going to take a few days for it to go through. Who's going to choose that option, right? So you can see how this can kind of start to have a detrimental impact on the legacy financial system, right? You can see that because you can already tell these banks would start to be getting less and less customs, right? They'd start to just use crypto technology instead, and they don't need a bank to do that. So this is the kind of thing where I think personally it's telling you the problem that America has with crypto technology. They fear it. It's that simple. They're worried. They're worried that this is going to take out a lot of financial institutions and things like that, and they're trying to protect it. That's basically what's going on here. So I thought that was a really interesting, answer in that regard. And to me, it gave me all the information I need to know in regards to why the US is in the position it's in. But they have started to change because of obviously the whole political aspect of this. So, we'll see what happens here in the long term. But it seems like because the election's coming up, they're starting to try and be pro-crypto now. My question is this something that they're just doing to get re-elected, or is this something that they're actually going to stand by regardless from here on? Because I just don't trust this. It's way too late for them to suddenly just do a 180 and suddenly change their stance. And it's like, is this just a temporary thing to get the votes that you need and then you'll change back? Or are you going to really genuinely stay pro-crypto now? I don't know. I really don't. And that's something that's, yet to be seen. So we will see. But yeah, I thought this was a great interview overall. Like, these are really like the main points that I've taken from this. So if you guys want to watch it, it has been reposted by Hedera. So you can go on their timeline on X and you will find it. It is a good interview, quite long, around 15 minutes, but it's interesting, right? But I have given you like the main bits of information of what's going on. Like, these are the most important things, in my opinion, from the interview. But obviously, if you guys want to see it for yourselves, then feel free, because it is a good watch nonetheless. But overall, as you can hear, these guys are changing the landscape of the financial industry. Like, that's basically what's going on here. Make no doubt about that. And they're doing it by Hedera, and to me, one thing I will just say, like, they did say this as well. It says, like, don't think that this means like it's only going to be built on Hedera. Like, it will be other networks too, but the majority of it will be Hedera. And I do this because, again, like, I'm not trying to like deceive you guys and make it seem like it's just Hedera. Like, no, there are going to be other networks out there who benefit from this stuff as well. Like, they might not just build on just like one network. No, they could probably go to other networks too. But, they've put their base on Hedera, and that says a lot. And when they was talking about like the enterprise level, what they're trying to achieve, they were saying the choice was Hedera. So this is their main choice. Yes, they might branch out to other networks, and that could just be diversification, right? Like, just how we invest money. It's like, okay, you don't just invest in the one thing, you diversify. So it doesn't necessarily have to mean it's because, they don't have faith in Hedera or anything like that. It's like, okay, well, we need to be on other networks too. We don't want to just be stuck on just one network. We want to like branch out. So to me, it just makes business sense. Like, I'm not looking at that as any way negative. I think it's just, spreading out yourself to be more, available to other networks. So I see no harm in that, to be honest with you. And yeah, overall, Hedera is where they've put their base at. So at the end of the day, that tells you all you need to know. But overall, this is a real great interview, and you will enjoy it if you do decide to give it a full watch. But what do you guys think? The HBAR Bulls video with Bank Social and Connects FCU. Let me know your thoughts, guys. I'll be interested to hear. Thank you very much for watching this. If you did like it, please remember to drop a comment, like, and subscribe. But until next time, take care.